Hello, everyone. Welcome to our this session. Here we are with Daniel Alfon. Hi, Daniel. How are you doing?
Excellent, Urvashi. How are you? Pleased to be
I'm
here.
doing. Yeah, nice to meet you too. And I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time off for this presentation. So, everyone, I would like to give a little bit of introduction about him first. Um, so, Daniel is to all our viewers, he is an author of Build a LinkedIn Profile for a Business Success. Daniel joined the LinkedIn in early 2004 and published articles, interviews, and exclusive content about the advanced LinkedIn strategies. All right. I think it's time for you to talk now. Shall we start, Daniel?
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jacob, for a hypnotizing session. So in the next 15 minutes, what I'll try to do is give you a couple of hints and a couple of facts that are important to understand about LinkedIn. LinkedIn has 780 million users worldwide, 2 million users in Israel. In Israel, that's the strongest way for high-tech companies to hire. Now, because all of you are talents, what I would like you to do is go to the chat, and if you can, paste a link to your LinkedIn profile now. Let's see who's the fastest to just paste the link to his or her LinkedIn profile, and maybe if we have time, I'll use one or two of those as examples. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any way we could launch the poll? Please? Is there any way we can launch the poll? I hope you can hear me. Excellent. Thanks. I'll put my link there as well, and we already have a couple of them. Excellent. So message me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email, and give me a call. That's fine. Thank you very much. It's evenly split, so we can continue. What I would like to do now is share my screen and show you a number of problems many users are not necessarily aware of. Okay, so let me do this. You should see my screen now. And Neil was the fastest. Neil was the fastest to send a link to his profile. So let's say that I'm transporting Neil, I'm transporting you to a world where this is the laptop of the dream company Neil would like to work for, or you would like to work for, and I'm the hiring manager or the recruiter. Okay, so I've bumped into Neil, and I see what he's done. And at one point, I say, you know what? I'd like to interview Neil. So what would you like us to do? Most people will do one of the following two things. Either click on contact info or hit message, okay? So we'll start by contact info. What does Neil expect us to see here? His email. What do we see? No email. Is this Neil's fault? No. It would work. It would be the same for most of us. And another thing to take into account is that if you try to click on message, most of you will not be able to message Neil freely. LinkedIn will ask us to upgrade. Okay? So now let's wait a second and ask what happened before I decided to reach out to Neil, before I even decided to interview him. I had to go through some process. I had to find him. I had to read within 5 seconds. I may have liked the banner. I would see what Neil is up to, and then I would be able to reach out to him. Before we deal with the rest, let me show you how to make your email visible. Okay, so in the top navigation bar, you hover over me and click on Settings and Privacy. And then on the left, you click on Visibility, and you count to 4 and click on Who can see or download your email address. And here, rather than staying with first-degree connections, I would advise you to move to anyone on LinkedIn. Okay, let me wrap this up again. In the top navigation bar, you click on your small thumbnail, you click on privacy and settings, and then visibility on the left, and then the fourth, you change your email to be visible. Now, Neil, if you're as fast as possible, I'd like you to change that, and that will enable us to show your email in a minute. Okay, if you can do that. Let us do other points. Before reaching out to anyone, what could make us decide we want to reach out to you as an individual, as a talent? What Neil has done is actually outstanding, because we were intrigued and we had a lot of information there. But if I had to pick one item where many talents leave a lot to be desired, it's that their profile does not speak for itself. Neil's profile speaks for itself. I understand quickly what he's up to. I see the product, I see what he's done, and now I'm able to say, you know what, I may want to interview him. So the first action I would like you to do after this wonderful event is over is to read your own LinkedIn profile and say, if I were the hiring manager, would I feel compelled to interview me? And I'm afraid the answer would be negative for many of us. So what I'll do now is share in the chat a link that would give you a lot of information about how to build your profile, and off we go to the presentation. If there are any questions, please shoot them in the Q&A, and we'll have up to 5 minutes when this presentation is over. So what you have to take into account is that we look at two extremes of the funnel. Okay, when I asked for the URL, Neil was the first to paste the link to his LinkedIn profile. The problem was that there was no visible contact detail, and it would make me would have to work hard. I may want to connect, I may not want to connect, but it would delay things. Look at this. This is a classic funnel, and in terms of hiring you or being headhunted, it's the hiring manager or the recruiter that starts at the top of the funnel, and it's your job, it's your responsibility, it's our responsibility to help those people reach the bottom of the funnel as fast as possible. And Neil has done excellent work in all the upper half of the funnel, because just adding the banner makes it stand out from 90% of other LinkedIn users or other talents. Think about the funnel, and the good news is that you can help anyone bumping into your profile reach the decision you want by integrating the right keywords, by having a professional headline, and by having a strong profile headline. So let's talk about the profile headline. The profile headline, let me show you Neil's for a second so we should know what we're talking about. Your headline is what LinkedIn puts next to your name, okay? And in terms of LinkedIn, that's the most valuable asset on your profile. That's the most expensive real estate, if you like, on your profile. Now, Neil, let me see that the browser comes up with Neil's headline. And while we do this, okay. So Neil's headline says, Product FinTech Digital Evangelist. The thing about it is that when you look at Neil's experience section here, it doesn't say that. It says Product Engineer. So let me suggest another thing we can borrow or learn from Neil, and that's you can and you should customize your headline and not stay with your current headline. Your current headline probably says something like the title of your latest position and the name of the company. But in some cases, it doesn't sell you well. And you can definitely change that without affecting the adverb here. In other words, keep the title here and change this into something more appealing. What we'll do now, I'll send another link in the chat. Give me a second. And that's a file, a cheat sheet, actually, because it's so important. I created a cheat sheet just about the headline. You should see it in the chat. If there's any problem with the chat, just let me know. Going back to the presentation, we'll look at the funnel and we discussed 2.5 points. Okay, the first was the contact. At the bottom of the funnel, I wanted to reach out to Neil and interview Neil. But the problem was I couldn't reach out easily and schedule the interview. So that is something you now can now change. The top of the funnel, the shortcut is this. If you have to take one takeaway from my session, it's the following sentence. The easiest way to encourage headhunters or other companies to reach out to you and headhunt you is to copy paste every word you have on your CV to your LinkedIn profile. Every single word. Don't do the mistake of having just titles. Look at what Neil has shown us. If I'm the hiring manager and I look at Neil's profile, I know whether his experience is relevant for us or not. Okay, you should not treat your profile as thinking that the hiring manager or the recruiter will say, you know what, let that looks interesting. Please send me your CV. Instead, what you could say is, this is interesting. Let's schedule a Zoom call or let's schedule an interview. Okay. The headline, the cheat sheet I shared in the chat offers a formula and lots of examples that can help you enrich your headline and make it more appealing to your ideal reader. Your ideal reader to me is the hiring manager. Okay, even if the people who share the jobs are recruiters to us are not the solution. Recruiters are the problems. And whenever possible, using networking, what I would advise you to do is to try and get as close as possible to the person you're going to report to, the hiring manager you are likely to report to in your dream company. Again, if there is any question about this or other topics, please use the chat or the Q&A, and we'll get to them in a minute. The fourth and last point I'd like to make is about connections. Most LinkedIn users do not have a connection strategy. They basically react. They get an invitation and then they say, you know what, maybe I should accept the invitation because it looks interesting. Most LinkedIn talents or most LinkedIn members start with quality, start by connecting with people they know well, and then they think they need to have quantity. And what happens is that they start growing their network, but they never reach a significant number of connections. And by significant numbers, I mean 30K, 30,000 connections. If you only have 2,000 connections, you've lost on both counts. You don't have enough exposure, and you've lost or you polluted your network in a way that if I run a search for a company and I'm looking for the hiring manager, let's take a Kumra portfolio company, one of the sponsors of this event. Let's say, look at someone at Fiverr, and I'll pick Harel. Okay, Harel Stern, VP R&D at Fiverr is a wonderful marketplace for freelancers. And when I look him up, if I see the figure 2 next to his name, that means we share a mutual. Okay. Now, based on my earlier decision, if I know those people, I can ask them for help. And without I only need 5 seconds. I would reach out to Roy. Why would I reach out to Roy? Because I know my network. And Roy is at Fiverr now. In other words, by speaking with Roy, I can make sure that he introduces me to the VP R&D at Fiverr. I'm going to stop sharing because I think the point is clear. What I suggest is that you connect with people you know well. Otherwise, just imagine what would happen. I would look up the VP R&D of the company, and I would see 5 or 10 or a gazillion names, and I would not know those people. And that means I cannot ask for an introduction. And the worst part about it is that if the VP of Fiverr looks me up and he sees those same names, I will not be there to whisper in his ear, you know what? Ask Roy, number 45 here. And if he asks someone who doesn't know me, then the person will just say, I don't know, Daniel. Maybe he knows LinkedIn, maybe he doesn't. So, my recommendation to you is to connect with people you know well. This is based on a presentation I've started back in 2010 with 18 epidemic mistakes, but we only have a couple of minutes, so I think I'll end here.
Yeah. Lastly, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. It was really worth getting into this whole LinkedIn profile, how to create it, and the mistakes that we should avoid. I'm sure that it was very helpful for all the listeners today. Thank you
It's been
so
a
much.
pleasure. Thanks and have a great day.
You too. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.